give us the,
Okay, we're ready.
so this is being live streamed and recorded, so everybody knows where you are.
So what I wanted to do is just a little bit differently, because we do have a lot of guests in the room, and I know we. Listen, you're start.
You want to call the meeting?
Go ahead. Yeah, first we'll call the meeting to order.
Okay, Tim Riley.
Yeah.
Raj Amar.
Here.
Howard Hellman.
Here. So I thought we would do is just go around the table and have everybody introduce themselves, because I know sitting here at many meetings, I see guests in the room, I don't have any idea who they are, and they don't have any idea who we are.
Sadly, as most of them are board members.
All right, for those that, I know, but I'm Steve Porth, Executive Director of the IDA.
And I'm Howard Hellman, one of the board members of the IDA.
I'm Brian Quinn. I'm an outside attorney with Blakely Platt & Schmidt.
I'm Kate Weinger. I'm an executive director from the Texas, which is a French investment bank.
Aurelian, for me, I work at Pharma in Congress as a project manager for an expansion.
Rudy Zoda, I'm another outside attorney from Blakely Platt & Schmidt.
Heidi Van Diver, I'm with Rockland IDA.
Tim Riley, I'm board member.
Raj Amar, I'm a board member.
Dan Birmingham with Hawkins, Delafield, and Wood. We're also in council for the IDA.
Brian Grisser, also with Hawkins.
I'm Cheryl Bowen with the Rockland County Department of Economic Development and Tourism.
Welcome, everyone. Everybody else.
Okay, I'm glad you're coming. It's funny, we've always said that we always like to work closely with the county, so good to see you're here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Action items.
Okay, we have one resolution for the board. This is something we do every year, nothing exciting. This is a very general resolution that the state requires us to adopt, that readopts all of our policy, reconfirms them, also authorizes us, once complete, and subject to the board's approval, to submit the annual Paris report, our measurement report, which is actually kind of a synopsis of what we did last year for REAC, and our independent audit, which is not yet complete, but before we actually submit all this, you'll have it before you a draft that you'll review the independent audit and adopt, and then we'll submit everything in one fell swoop up to the state.
Do we have a copy of that in our packet? You guys have it? Because I don't see it in mine.
You do not have a copy of it. I apologize. I probably could, in the effort to save paper, I may have saved too much paper. But you can see what it does is for.
Heidi, you want to
Yeah,
make
I
a
can make
copy of this? Raj,
Thank you. Usually there is, in this case, this is similar, but since we didn't adopt any policies, that were unique or different or amend anything, it's pretty much a standard document at this point. We can come back to that if you want to.
Sure.
We have no new business. We have no old business. And our treasurer's report, you guys should have, the board members should have a copy of the financials.
One check. You don't want to make money as the bookkeeper. And that's it now.
Yeah. We didn't get paid.
Pass this down to Howard and Raj. Next one.
I'm actually the only one who didn't complain. I need one because I have to have you sign it. Okay.
Okay, if everybody wants to just look that over real quick. I think as Steve said, there's really nothing magical about this. No actions need to be taken other than a motion to approve it.
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second it.
Okay, roll call.
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Howard Hellman.
Yes.
Okay, and that matter is approved.
Okay, sounds good.
Do
I'll
we
let
need a
them know.
motion to accept the treasurer's report?
We do.
Okay. Raj?
I'll make a move.
Tim?
Yep.
All in favor?
Fine.
Okay, Tim Riley,
Yes.
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Howard Hellman.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. And that's all I've got for REAC. And just for you guys, REAC, Rockland Economic Assistance Corp., just a point so you know what we're doing, is a sister agency that deals solely with nonprofits. we don't have any business going on right now with nonprofits, so this is just going through administratively, we have to have a meeting.
Okay. Reading of the minutes.
Okay, the meeting was called to order at 9:01 a.m. The action items, the board reviewed a resolution, the annual Paris submission resolution. Motion was made by Tim Riley, seconded by Howard Rajamar. All in favor. There was no new business, there was no old business. Treasurer's report, board reviewed the January 2023 financial report. There's no other comment. Motion by Rajamar, seconded by Tim Riley to accept the report. All in favor. That's it.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Raj, I'll make the motion.
We're adjourned.
Okay. 9:08. That was a 7-minute. Okay.
No, this time.
I apologize it took so long.
Next meeting won't be as quick, but it won't be that. I think you'll find it. We move right along. Okay.
Maybe we can skip the introduction part.
Yes, yes.
Well, somebody might be tuning in late. Okay. Meeting, call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Tim Riley.
Yeah.
Howard Rajamar.
Here.
Howard Hellman.
Here.
Okay, call order 9:08.
Do we want to take these in the order that they're listed, or there's some people here that go out of order?
Fortunately, the people that are here are the beginning of the meeting, other than Admiral's Code. We can knock that off.
Okay.
All right, so we had a public hearing for the Admiral Cove 2 project. There was no public participation or attendance. So you have an authorizing resolution to consider on that.
Comments, questions? Motion to move that resolution?
Pardon me?
Admiral's Cove.
Oh, yeah, I'll move.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Okay, Tim Riley.
Yes.
Raj Amar.
Yes.
Howard Hellman.
Yes.
Favor, okay. That project is authorized. Okay, next up is Aptar. Just as a brief introduction, Aptar has been a long-time company up in Congress. I won't go too much at length because we have Aurelian representing Aptar that will discuss it more thoroughly, but they're undertaking a significant expansion project up there to really sink their roots in much deeper. They've come to us, we've been working with the town, they've been working with the town as well. So they've come to us today. They are seeking sales tax exemption on, so let's say at least, let's call it phase 1 of what will be eventually an even bigger project. With that said, Aurelian, you've already met everybody, so we don't have to go through introductions. But if you want to add a little color to what I've just said.
So Aptar is 15,000, 4 billion employees for $4 billion company. That
How many
makes
employees?
14,000.
How many in Rockland?
Oh, about 250. And it consists of 3 divisions. One is Aptar Pharma, which I represent, based here in Congress. That's the only pharma site for North America. And the other 2 divisions are food and beverage and beauty. And for those divisions, we make various pump components and closures for, mustards and tomato paste, for example. But so for the pharma company, we have again 3 divisions. One is injectable, that's the newest one. We just built a clean room for injectable. It's been really propelled by the pandemic, obviously. We make rubber stoppers for vaccine vials. So it's a very small rubber part, but it's very capitalistic. It's a very complex part to make in several steps. And the other 2 divisions are RX, which is called prescription. So we work with a lot of pharmaceutical companies or CMOs, which are contract manufacturers that fill the bottles and then close with some stoppers and others to deliver drugs to the public. But those are prescription products. So we work with prescription companies, and there is an over-the-counter division that's called consumer healthcare. So a lot of nasal sprays. We make a lot of pumps. We have also in the prescription business, we have a key product called UDSL, it's Unidose liquid, that delivers the life-saving drug for the opioid crisis. You may have heard of this. It's a pump that policemen have on them to save people who are in danger in the street overdose. So our footprint here in Congress consists of about 170,000 square feet, and we're adding a 30,000 square feet expansion. It's not directly a production expansion, meaning that we're adding that space at the north end of the facility, so between 203 and 9W, but toward NW. There's a big wooden area staying there at the north end. And our only entry today is 303. So it's the north end at the other end of the entrance of the property. And it's indirectly a production expansion, but at the moment, as Steve explained, step one of this project, we're adding a space, we're relocating a warehouse that's inside the building. We're making it newer, more efficient, newer technologies to manage warehousing. And that freed space will be a space available for new clean rooms when injectable grows again. At the moment, it's a little slow after the pandemic, but there is a lot of other projects there. There's vaccines, and there's small molecules, and there's a lot of different projects for these startups. So 30,000 square feet added at the north end of the facility. Right now, we're in, so excavation is well advanced, foundations are complete. And now the big part of the coming weeks will be to dismantle the existing north end. So we're cracking the plant open with an inside wall, obviously built beforehand, and big new panels will arrive and will be erected in a matter of days. So over the months of April, the view of the site will change drastically.
So your construction is complete from the inside?
No, not at all. No, it's all outside. Yes.
It's all, so, no, I'm talking about the new building.
No, the new building is not built.
It's not even built yet.
No, only site work and foundation. And the precast concrete panels will arrive early April, and we'll do the whole perimeter in a matter of 2 weeks. And then we can complete with the roof, and then we can work inside.
Here's my question.
Yes.
You've already started construction.
The site work, yes.
Okay. Panels have been ordered?
Yes.
The building, actually.
Yes.
So why are you here? In other words, it appears the project is already moving forward. So why would you need the tax breaks you're asking for if you've already committed to this project?
Yeah, we're committed to this project, but there are a lot of inside installation, which are very expensive and not directly production related. A lot of equipment for warehousing. There's also manufacturing extension, which we can still scale back at the moment. We have the space available, but if we cannot get the funds, we had a very tight budget to start with, and the post-pandemic economy did not improve our case. And so we still made the decision to go for a bigger building than previously envisaged with the original budget. And so we're getting very tight on budget if we want to do the manufacturing extension. So we're adding a warehouse space, but between the current production and the warehouse, we're still extending manufacturing and hiring new employees for new lines of that RX business that I spoke about, the prescription business.
Now, you said this was phase one.
This is phase one.
Obviously there's going to be other phases, or hopefully to be other phases.
Yes.
Are they
will be directly production related though. This one
Okay.
is not production related because we create a space for future production related equipment.
Gotcha. Are those part of this application?
No.
Okay.
No, because so injectable is the new division, the stoppers business for vaccines is the new division. So we took a space from the warehouse. So they were restricted, and we have been paying for an external warehouse in the area. And now the injectable business is saying, okay, I took a bit of space and I want to take more in the future, so I finance your extension to relocate the warehouse and to have that free space to operate in the future with new clean rooms. So there will be much more creation of employees by the free space, but it's indirect. It's like the step one of the project. But if we're not ready, it takes ages to get a permit to construct, and that's why we have engaged this project. But at the moment, it's mostly site work and foundation. The precast panels, they were just ordered, and so we have not paid the invoice of that. We have not paid sales tax. We have not paid the invoice of those panels at the moment.
And all the injection lines and things of that nature, they're all FDA approved. Do you have to get involved with the FDA,
Yes.
even though it's third party, a lot of it?
Yeah, we have clean room environment. Yes, ISO 7. Yes.
And how many employees new employees do you expect?
So we're creating with this facility here, we're creating a minimum of 15. That's because the finance director reviewed the numbers I had proposed, which are closer to reality. But he says, if there is any delay, if anyone is coming at me to say, where are those employees, then I need to justify that we presented a conservative number. So the number that is in the application.
And I can probably add, I always tell, I actually tell everybody, be realistic, be conservative, because those numbers are going to find their way into our agreements. And the tendency is to give a, kind of an optimistic view. I always say, be comfortable with what you're going to, because you're going to own that number. So that number is a number they're comfortable with. And I will say to your point, Tim, just that in talking with, I think we started discussing this months ago. I understand from this, just the lead times on a lot of equipment orders, things like that are still an issue on the supply chain.
Tim, was your question satisfactorily answered relative to what are you doing here? You already started the project. Are you gonna stop if we don't give you benefits?
Yeah.
Are you going to be coming back to the table for phase 2, or is that all inclusive in this right now?
Yes, I don't know, because this one will be production related.
Okay.
I will not be the project manager of that phase 2.
Okay.
Which will create, this one will create, so step one, that clean room that took the initial space from the warehouse was a 25 employee project. And we have now considerably engineered the new clean rooms. And so in half the space, we can build twice the lines. So the next 2 steps will be huge. And that's the space that we free with the warehouse relocation.
The applicant is only seeking sales tax exemption.
Which I kind of,
No pilot.
yeah, which I looked at.
Thank you, Brian.
And you understand our labor policy about using a percentage of your workforce being local, part of the document you signed.
We do.
Any other questions? Okay. Motion to.
I'll move the applicant.
And I'll second it.
Roll call.
Okay, Roger Mark,
Yes,
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Howard Hellman.
Yes.
congratulations.
Okay, Rennie, you are induced.
Thank you.
What that means is you got the initial approval. I know from and we've talked about this, from a timing standpoint, I know they're very critically time oriented. So we'll have a public hearing. It'll be here in our offices because it is in Clarkstown, and then we'll have then we'll have an authorizing resolution, and I probably will be reaching out to the board for us to have a meeting sometime early, later in March, if not early, but among some other things we have to do. But let you know. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay. However.
I have so much. I appreciate
Take care.
the invitation.
And good luck with the project and continue to grow in Rockland. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next.
Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
You too, thank you.
It was
Thank you,
good
Eddie.
seeing you. I'll
Thank
see you soon.
Okay, next project is Natixis. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Right, you are.
Okay, Natixis, and they are a data company. They will be coming into the One Ramland Road facility over in Orangeburg as a tenant, very similar to other projects that we've done. They're looking for sales tax exemption, on the equipment, and that they'll be bringing in. And with that said, I turn it over to Kate to maybe add a little, kind of see what, if you could give a little overview about the company and your plans.
So Natixis is a French corporate and institutional bank. We are based in New York with about 800 employees in Manhattan. We currently have a data center in Stamford, Connecticut. That data center, the physical building sold. So we have been told we have to move. So when we started this project, we were on a pretty tight timeline, and we were looking, obviously, it's, you draw a pin from the center of your office, and there's a specific distance for dark fiber and communications that have to go back and forth, which is way outside of my my skill set. But we looked in Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, and ultimately settled on the Colo house. We are asking for a sales tax inducement based off of our need to move. Again, similarly, we've started the project based on supply chain issues. We had some lead times that were 18 months, which when you look at a calendar, when we were notified we had to move to when we had to actually get there, meant that we called in a lot of favors to suppliers. So we did take kind of a risk-based approach that we would be granted this exemption and then reestablish if it was not granted, look at 5 years, what we go from there. So
That's not fair. You got a heads up.
I did. I'm from Jersey. We take every opportunity, right? Front run your question, but that's essentially, yeah. You have to think of the big picture. But again, we're invoiced. We haven't paid for anything, and it's more about kind of putting ours in the place in line for ordering.
Tell us about the space.
It's 3,500 square foot cage. So essentially, we're leasing an internal space within the Colo house. They will outfit it for us, and then we will bring in all of our, what we're buying are the servers, the dark fiber, all of the components.
What is dark fiber?
So dark fiber is the cabling that essentially connects back. So it's not live. We use a third party to manage that. And that vendor is somebody that's already associated with the facility itself.
And not that it affects this application, I'm more curious, your bank, does it specialize in any particular market?
So we're a smaller player in the US. They do a lot of syndicated loan facilities and some global markets. But it's an equity trading. So they try to diversify their backgrounds so that we don't have too many eggs in one basket.
I'd like to know things. Okay.
This is a lease.
It is a lease,
How long is the lease?
5 years. And that's kind of built into the request because you calculate the depreciable time scale of our new equipment versus what we've reused. So we've calculated both what we need to put in there from stuff that we just had to trash. It was either too soon to end of life or antiquated. It's a good opportunity to kind of upgrade what we already have. And the intention would be not to relocate after 5 years, if at all possible, because it is such a difficult process.
So do you guys have any renewal on your leases? Like, do you have any other options? Like, can you?
So we have 2 data centers and a BCP center. And it's kind of a balance between, we moved our one data center previous to all of this about 18 months ago, and that's in New Jersey. The only reason why we would ever move this again, besides the building, something happening to the structure, would be our office moving, which is even more difficult than moving a data center.
So, but do you have any options to renew your lease after 5 years?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Dan, you had a comment?
It's just one point that you and I emailed about,
Yes.
what the board has before today, because the benefits are less than $100,000, there's no need for a public hearing. And Steve and I had discussed, and what you have before you today is both an inducement resolution and an authorizing resolution, and it's, of course, just for sales tax. But just wanted to.
And for your purposes, Kate, subject to the board approving this, your life just got a lot easier as far as timing.
Much appreciated.
There's no public hearing notice that has to be held, so we don't have to do that notice, and we don't have to have a second meeting where we do a separate authorizing resolution. If the board is inclined, you're gonna get all your approvals today.
One
And
less
then-
trip from Summit.
You know, I got out of school drop off this morning, so.
So you may come to that next meeting anyway.
I might just be there. I have to go back.
You can stick
Every
around.
Thursday. No drop off.
But that meeting that you're gonna miss might have been some intimate stuff.
Yes.
I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah. I think I dropped that.
For all I know, my wife could be watching the one live.
She's on one
I'm sure
live.
that there's no donuts yet.
Okay, well, one of our illustrious board members like to move this resolution. Raj.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Howard Hellman.
Good luck.
Okay, you've been induced / authorized.
Wonderful.
Okay, so
Congratulations.
we'll be in touch as far as really what the key thing is going to be is essentially me getting out of the way and letting councils work with your councils, just getting the closing documents and then we'll walk through the process of sale. How do you utilize the sales tax? That's all to come, but not that complicated.
Oh, this has been lovely. This is the notarized copy, by the way. I don't-
Oh, okay.
Oh,
If
thank
you want to
you.
do that, the Ivy, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
We'll be in touch next week with either you and,
No,
your
because I don't have
attorneys.
that date.
Name and
We have
numbers of
it.
the
You
Yes,
should, well,
and if you have any
Raj will
difficulty
sign it.
with
The
all
day
of
he'll
that,
sign it.
Okay,
just let me know.
I sure will. I'm sure it'll be fine. Thank you.
Yeah, Spring Valley,
Hey, Brian, a project like this, you know, it goes way back, you know, to the original, et cetera, et cetera. How does that, tax-wise, that does not impact the town whatsoever? In other words, the pilot's been agreed upon, county tax, all the, you know, all the taxes have been
You guys can just sit on the
agreed
sides.
upon. So whether that building is empty or full really doesn't impact the town.
If it would have been any other portion of the sales tax.
I mean, we made a commitment to the original owner, you know, not a commitment, but we basically, this is the process that we put in place when you get.
Yeah, it was expected that they were going to lease out.
Right, exactly,
you know,
yeah. Okay.
The facility,
Yeah. Thank you.
okay.
Right. They've been talking about expanding that. facility.
Oh, I know.
Adding another-
They're having a lot of problems with the substation, from what I understand. They can't find anybody from, hold on, they can't find anybody from Orange and Rockland to even talk to. That whole corridor down there, Dome and the old
Talking
Verizon,
about, yeah,
they, you know, nobody, the phone number's unlisted.
I can kind of fill you in a little bit. We had a conference call with O&R yesterday.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so I will discuss that with you,
Okay.
not in the
Whatever.
context of this meeting.
Questions did they answer?
But there is a phone number. I will say that. In their defense, there's a phone number and they are very much aware of the issues involving capacity and future.
Answered.
But the good news is they actually talking of expanding that substation. That's the good work that's come out of, with all the data centers between Bloomberg, the Verizon building, one Ramland, there's another one in there, you know, and on, and the ones over at, Rockland site.
You know, JP Morgan has their own,
Yeah.
I just realized that data center cluster, which has been very lucrative for the state and the county and the town, will only last, it will only continue to expand as long as there's capacity of infrastructure to support it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
There's a lot of people depending on that particular data, so.
Yeah.
That's a permanent thing.
Yeah. And that's a tremendously, you know, from an economic development standpoint, that cluster is huge.
Yeah.
You know, that's brought, I think, almost $3 billion of new investment in the county in just, you know, in
With
the last
no
8
impact to
years.
schools, to the, you know, anyway.
So,
Spring Valley Marketplace.
yeah, Spring Valley Marketplace. We have 2 guests here. I'll give you a chance to introduce yourselves in a second. From an overview, you're looking at everyone familiar with the Spring Valley Marketplace. This project involves kind of a complete overall, not a technical word, but an overall facelift, expansion, using, turning that facility into retail plus, other uses, but I don't want to go into too much because I know the gentlemen are here to discuss their plans. So it is, and because, just sort of clarification, they're looking for sales tax, mortgage tax, pilot. It is in the bounds of Spring Valley, so it is eligible under our current policies that we can do retail. If it was elsewhere, might be limitations, but there are no restrictions as far as our ability, our policies to allow for this project. Up to the board, of course, whether they approve it or not. But with that said, maybe I'll ask you guys to kind of introduce yourself. Oh,
Let me just jump in because, you said Spring Valley because it is in an economically distressed area under US
Yeah, you're expanding.
Census data. Actually, the application needs to be completed a little bit more because there was a box to say that you were in an economically distressed area. You're in the village of Spring Valley over there. And the other thing is about job creation is the jobs indicated in the application would be created by their tenants. This is the Spring Valley Marketplace. We're going to expand, put up a new building, use it for offices and for retail. So just wanted to make that point. We should have
Thank you, Mike.
amended the application to reflect those two things.
Yep.
Exactly, yeah. So my name's Hershey, and I work in properties and Spring Valley Marketplace. Right now, we have Christmas Tree Shop that's going to vacate in just under a year. And, it's going to be a tough project to pull off how we're going to fill that because, retail is not the same. And we're looking to put offices there. We have, we know that there's demand for offices and it's a great location for offices, but building expenses and just doing this project is very, very, very costly. And, but this is something that will add to the county, between jobs, between, we'll fund do some retail on the ground level, and then build up, 3 stories of offices. So Jake, it's a colleague of mine, is, very involved.
Hi, how are you? Jake Verdugo with Alexander Properties. I can expand on the project a little bit. Before we touch on Christmas Tree Shop, I want to just kind of give you an overview of what we've been doing to the center. Michael's and Bed Bath & Beyond vacated, and they had very large spaces. And we knew right away that to try to fill those spaces with like tenants, large retail, it was near impossible. So what we ended up doing is created sort of a mini mall with around 15 tenants, 15 to 18 tenants, which filled up nicely because, smaller tenants, they're looking for that experience of, multiple type of smaller stores. They can come in, there's, a kid center. So that we noticed has been doing really well. So then when Christmas Tree Shop gave us the notice to vacate, we're like, okay, what can we do here now? We can't do more small shops because we don't see that demand that much. However, the demand that we did notice was office. And there's not that many large office buildings in Spring Valley, and that's the demand that we've been hearing. So our plan was to create a second floor originally that would encompass the entire Christmas Tree Shop for office, the bottom being small retail and half office. And then the problem we had with that was that you wouldn't have any windows in the middle because it was such a wide area. So what we did is we just cut it in half and stacked it. So essentially making 2 more stories above the current floor plan. So we started our process with planning boards and and such, but as Hershey mentioned, since we're building up, it is quite a project, and hence that's why we're here today to ask for some sort of break with taxes.
Where you at now with your approvals from the
We
village?
had CDRC, went very well. The village was very, they liked it, and they put us on tentatively for an April meeting
For the planning.
for the planning board to declare lead agency. Happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
So the way we got the 100,000 square feet is 50,000 square feet is the existing box, and then we're doing 25 and that would be 50. So we have to redo, that would be 100,000 square feet of retail office, mostly office.
So actually, at the bottom, you're still gonna try to do retail.
The front.
The front portion.
And then
Basically,
the extension's gonna be offices.
correct. We're gonna cut the whole, so that the frontage will be retail still. So, have those front areas, that will be existing
So it looks
retail.
consistent with all retailers.
Yeah.
And we're gonna leave the Christmas tree shop, the architectural, facade that it has, and leave that character where it is, because that's an icon.
The aesthetics.
The aesthetics of it was really nice. We're gonna imitate the aesthetics in the back. I can show you the renderings we have, but we want to match it, so we're not gonna take away from it.
Did the benefits that you're looking for, besides doing renovation of the first floor of these stores and then going up to two stories, does that include also the cost of refacing or redoing the balance of the shopping center?
No,
Just strictly
building. There's a lot of steel involved, foundation work,
It's for the office.
So it's basically just a Christmas store?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the office.
Because to the left, standing in front of the mall to the left, there's been some renovations to those stores.
Right, well, that was the Bed Bath and Beyond and Michael's that I was talking about.
Okay.
So, yeah, those were next door to each other, 25,000, so it was 50,000 square feet total that vacated on us pretty much like overnight. And
But it's been run all the way out to the end, correct?
no, it's not all the way to the end.
Okay.
There's a couple more stores to the left-hand side of that.
Military,
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's a recruiting station, but we're struggling because if we would have left it as it was and we didn't pump in, the funds into this, we'd be looking at a Go Shopping Center, another one in Spring Valley, which we didn't want. You can see it happening.
Do you anticipate, and I know it's very limited, any changes to the whole access element to it as far as, or you're very restrictive as far as, your options to change how you can get in and out of the facility?
We have a throughway on one side.
Throughway,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you're bounded
We
by,
could,
Future.
a little bit get an exit like that would come around right up, but it's a little tough with the state.
We've been working on public transportation, the buses to kind of divert more into the Spring Valley marketplace.
We're bringing a lot more public transportation into the marketplace, the Rockland tour, so forth.
Since you're here, I can be nosy.
Sure.
How much do you own the two hotels behind? Is that your
No.
property?
No, we don't own the Target building
I
as
was
well.
just, that was my
We
next one.
own the parking lot, so there's easements and they pay us rent.
And is it Bingo?
Bingo, yes, we built.
That's yours?
Yes, that's us as well. That was TJ Maxx, which vacated.
Right.
Same situation, so we took the TJ Maxx and the GNC, which is located next to it, combined it, turned it into Bingo, which has been very successful.
So the hotel, is that your property? It's not your property at all?
No, there's easements and access agreements to get to those two hotels, but we don't have any ownership in the parking lot or the structures.
And you don't use the rail at all, do you?
No.
It's New Jersey Transit.
So that's New Jersey Transit backside of the property.
So as an agency, it's our mission to serve the public and make sure whatever projects we induce ultimately has a benefit to our community. So a couple of questions that I have is, if we didn't give you these benefits, would you still go ahead with the project? That's one.
Right, okay.
So that. And the second is, which I wrestle with a little bit, now you're getting these cost benefits, which in a sense makes you more competitive than the other shopping centers right down the street. And they too are looking for tenants as well. So are we doing the right thing as a board, giving you benefits when they don't have benefits, and then you have a leg up on your competitor?
To add to his thing, the savings that you're gonna get in the construction, are you gonna pass that to your future tenants?
That's
So I think, we give tenants, they have a TI allowance usually, especially for offices to build out. The way it works is our contractors build it out for them, and that savings automatically, because since we're purchasing it, somewhat gets passed on. But again, this project is really, if we could achieve these benefits and if we could achieve these incentives, then, on pen and paper, it makes sense to proceed. Without such type of things, we're looking at such large costs, astronomical, what went up from 2 years ago until today, that even with all these offices, we might just have to find an end user for this space, and it could be vacant for a very long time. And I think this is really a key moving forward with it or not, you know, so it's something that we really would love to achieve.
I'm sorry, guys. How long will it take you to finish this project if you get the approvals?
It shouldn't take more than, you know, 12 to 18, 20, I would say between a year and 2 years.
And would you start marketing at the rental space when it's gonna be ready, so it's?
Absolutely.
Sure, I mean, so our plan is, you know, with the approval process, we're hoping for, you know, depending on Spring Valley, that forms and, you know, so we're hoping by the end of the year to get some sort of approval. And then once we see that where the approvals process is going, we will start marketing it. And to answer the other question regarding, you know, taking away from other shopping centers, we're putting in a lot of funds regardless if, you know, we get breaks or not. We're willing to do it. We're still, you know, stretching ourselves out to make this happen, putting in you know, funds for it. So if we get a break, that'd be amazing. However, if, you know, we feel the other supermarkets will be doing the same thing, then they should, you know, probably be entitled to it as well. But in the area, we seem to be one of the only ones that are actually trying to make a difference here.
We're making Spring Valley and the Rockland County really great, and we're actually, the Spring Valley Marketplace on its own, we're putting a lot of effort on bringing up the whole shopping experience and bringing it up to date. You know, it did lag a lot and we're doing new signage that's going to make the place aesthetically pleasing. Directional signage that's formed in phases that are going to be laid out, you know, over the next 12 to 24 months, and new gardening and landscaping that's going to facelift the entire mall.
Installing DC fast chargers so that people that come off the thruway can, you know, if they're traveling somewhere, they can pull in, charge their car up in 20 minutes, and shop while they do that. I mean,
we reach out to the community to hear what they want, what type of stores they want, what type of office spaces they want. We're reaching out to the county. We're always taking the feedback, and we're trying to be in the forefront of saying, okay, we're here for our residents. What do they need? And we know, you know, on the business side, they'll follow that.
Do you do the fit up work for your tenants?
So they give us their layout, and then sometimes we'll just do a vanilla box. And if they want to bring their own contractor, they can, you know, bring their own stuff. But 99.9%, they're all using our contractors, and you know, we're doing it for them.
And most of them, like I said before, we kind of act as a bank for them. We'll lay out the money for their TI work, for their tenant improvement to their space, and we'll amortize it over the course of their lease. So we do everything we can to help the owners. So we do a lot more than just build them a blank space and say, here you go. You know? So we're out a lot of funds by the time this is all said and done.
How long is the project going to take?
So
you answered that question. 18 months.
18 months, and then for the TI for each tenant,
Yeah, you don't know.
we don't know because some people can, you know, sky's the limit kind of tenants. But
Core and shell is 12 months to 18 months.
exactly. Lead times have been a little better now. They're starting to come down.
Any other questions? Either of you gentlemen like to come to the question?
That's a tough one.
You sleep on it.
Yeah. What kind of urgency do you have with this application?
Fairly urgent because I don't know if I want to say the Christmas tree already stopped paying rent. They're done. You know.
That you will not be able to start your construction until you get planning board approval.
Correct.
So you're first going to the planning board next month.
We're stacking it up. If we get approved here, then we know we can go full force there.
Right.
If this doesn't come through, then what are we chasing? But I'm saying is like, the numbers are really, really high. Building now, you know, we spoke to our GC. It's projecting like
$200,
$200,
$250 square foot.
But with all due respect to what Howard was saying, that's for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So, are we making this an uneven playing field? That's the point. Okay, that's somewhat of the issue we have. You already own the facility. You're renovating, which is terrific, but it's often to a certain degree for self-interest. So we don't know, you know.
Well, we look at it, you know, as landlords, we have to be out for the community and hear what they want. We have to offer services, we have to offer stores and make sure that the community has what they need.
Right.
And then we'll be a successful mall.
So go ahead.
So right now, to be able to do that, we need incentives because it's too costly to listen to everything that the community wants and be able to pull that off. Because building something that it's going to benefit Rockland County is on pen and paper, just like paying everything right now. You're not making money. If you look at what do we get, $25 a foot? It doesn't, on the performer, it does not add up. I mean, it's pretty close.
And I just want to touch upon, what you mentioned about the planning board, we still have some time, but, to go down that road is a lot of money out, so we would not necessarily go through with it depending on how the outcome of today, so.
But then the negative side is that you might have a store that's sitting empty.
Exactly. True, but at the same time, we don't want to.
We aim to find an end user.
Exactly. Well, aim to find the end user, but it's going to be tough. We'll try.
Can't spend money and know you're not making money.
Exactly. But we appreciate, any consideration here. So.
Gentlemen?
I get what you think that this may be like benefiting specifically the Muslim marketplace, but I want to let you know that our ears are really in the community. And this is something, I mean, if you look in 5 years from now, this is going to be an icon for Rockland County. The offices, the transportation that we're going to be putting there, we're going to be having public transportation being specifically located right off the highway. And you really, if you look at the map of Rockland County, you're right in the heart of the center of access points from the thruway, from Garden State. People are coming to Target, to all over right there, and we don't want to be the face of Rockland County being dead. Right now, the mall was going, the entire shopping center was going like this, slowly. That Leon Michaels was empty. Imagine now the other side is empty. It's just going to look dead. And we don't want to have Rockland County being dead. We want a vibrant community. And that's what the offices is going to do. It's going to have 400 to 500 people working there daily.
Well, let me ask you this. What benefits are you asking for?
Mortgage tax, sales tax, and the pilot program for the property tax. Because our property tax, if we're talking about being competitive, if you look up at the Spring Valley and all different assessments, we are actually paying more than anybody else in the entire Spring Valley. We're paying a ridiculous number.
Okay, I appreciate that. I would feel more comfortable if, here's the point, I have no problem with the pilot in the sense that we don't even negotiate that. You do that with Spring Valley, so that I'd have absolutely no problem approving in the sense that we're gonna give you the ability to go to Spring Valley and to negotiate that. The others, long-term, I'm a little uncomfortable with. It's as simple as that.
No, I understand.
But I want to understand. Maybe if we're not communicating.
No, you are communicating. Again, it's the issues that we brought up here at the table.
Right.
Long-term.
I mean, I don't know of any other. Do you know of any other
marketplace? I envision the marketplace in 5 years from now as a vibrant community and an icon for Rockland County. And it's going to be a meeting point for a lot of people. There's going to be restaurants, there's going to be offices. It's going to be a place where you're going to love to spend the day. I mean, shoppers, okay?
I mean, we noticed that if you look at the different malls right now, it's kind of changed from just retail. You have to find a way to entice people to come into it. Like you saw what they did in Nanuet, they had to revitalize everything in terms of having shops and kind of food and this. If we just try to keep it the way it was 20, 30 years ago when they first developed it, it wouldn't sustain itself. So, that's pretty much, and we don't see anyone anywhere else in Spring Valley that's attempting to revitalize their shopping centers the way we are.
And in the lobby of the offices, we want to put public spaces in there where people could just meet and wait and spend the time and just be a public space where, it really helps the community. And that's what we're here for. And this project is really costly.
Would you be willing to revisit your application and review what benefits you want?
I mean, we really would need what we're asking for.
Okay.
because everything helps.
Okay.
So what I would propose, if you guys would so indulge, is that I think you made a very powerful presentation, and we could wrap that around your application and just chew on it for one more meeting and maybe come back next month and we can see if we can.
Your next meeting is on the 24th?
My is tentatively, they said is in the end of April, I believe.
I'm going to be asking the board to have a meeting at the end of March because I need the audit approved prior to us submitting that annual compliance report. So we will be meeting in probably a couple weeks.
Which is
Or
March
if there's-
23rd.
what-
March 23rd? Well, we'll talk about it, that's fine.
So
I mean, I don't know what date,
Yeah,
depending on
that's
your
fine.
availability,
I'm
but
getting ahead of myself.
it will be before March 30th.
Actually, if we decide to table this and try to get you back an answer on by March, will that stop your process for your April meeting?
I don't know.
We're gonna go right now for the town, because we wanna start the process, we wanna hear it. But to say that we're all in, we need this.
Okay.
We really-
And the delay is 2 or 3 weeks. It's not like we're talking.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah,
I know this thing
understand.
takes time, but what I wanna say is like, this board really has the ability to make Rockland, great, because we're going to do a product that's going to benefit Rockland County in its entirety. Meaning is from Target, from Subway, we have all types of
Actually, we've
stores.
seen the changes already, so it's not something we've seen that. So I think you're better off to let us table it and come up with a positive answer
That's fine.
than you struggle with it today.
Yeah, that's not a
Because we
problem.
need a little bit more
Review
discussion.
all the benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Please take your time and,
Do you want a motion to table?
Okay. I don't think we have to, because
No,
there's no motion.
yeah,
We'll just,
Okay?
make
We'll
it.
let you know.
I would say-
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, if you could, though, I don't know whether you heard my comments about,
The application.
yeah, about the application. That should be fixed and resubmitted. If you have any questions.
Just those pages, we can talk about that. There's a couple of points there that will.
Job creation, and you're in an economically distressed area. That's the box needs to be
We should
checked.
think about that.
When's the next meeting?
We don't know. It's gonna be by the end of March, so in a couple of
Yeah,
weeks. You'll be notified.
Yeah, that's not gonna change.
Hey, guys. Hershey, subject to the board's confirmation, the meeting will likely be March 23rd. That'll be a Thursday morning,
Did I
9
call?
o'clock here, but
Did I call?
That works well for us.
Thank you so much, really appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
We'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you,
Have
yeah.
a good weekend.
we got these folks out here, if you want to hold up this Paris submission thing until then, we have to anyway. Or you can do the Paris submission.
No.
Oh, Heidi, you know what, I did make copies of
Can't
this.
believe you get them.
You want to give that to Heidi, and make multiple copies of that as well. Yeah, but. Yes. Shops and manual sales tax. That we approved them for a pilot, they couldn't get the town and school district to agree, that wasn't on us. We've done an office building right down the road at the Springville Drive-in, so, but this is something we should talk through in more detail,
Okay.
Obviously, but this,
All together and outside of the board meeting.
Yes, sir. I used to have a sergeant at arms.
Niedermeyer.
While we're sitting here, I got a quick question for, I guess, Brian. I had asked Steve, and he probably told me and I forgot. When we induce, are they subject to our labor policy?
You mean, when does it kick in?
Pardon me?
When does it kick in?
Yeah.
When they start work.
Because I know of projects, and I'm not trying to, that project, but it was always, am I correct, like a gray area? When do they have to comply?
That's, why don't we, if I can ask, could we discuss that? That's actually an item on the
Oh, I'm
agenda.
sorry, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the labor policy is that?
That's
Oh, see
that,
that?
yes. So,
Again, I'm ahead of my
Good
time.
heads up.
That's like a sneak preview.
Coming attraction.
Tim, quick answer though, you have to be authorized. If you don't have your sales tax.
Again, let's talk about this.
Yeah, that's,
Okay. Trying to manage the
Don't
meeting.
spend money. You don't have the authorization.
You want to either do this resolution, which is, or have these guys come in? I know. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he'd be insulted.
So when Raj comes in, we'll do the Paris resolution, which will take 2 seconds.
You want to tell those guys will be like 5 minutes?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Is this about a new topic?
No, this is that Paris submission, but for the IDA.
These guys are here for the TO.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, kind of like we said with REAC, we have this catch-all resolution that really just reconfirms, readopts, authorizes us to complete the Paris Agreement, subject to the IDA's independent audit, which you will have an opportunity to review, likely on March 23rd, which you'll review it and you'll review it. If you accept it, that will be part of our submission. So this is that catch-all resolution we do every year.
okay. So do I can move that?
I'll move it.
I'll second. Roll call?
Okay, Tim Riley.
Yes.
Raj Amar.
Yes.
Howard Hellman.
Yes.
Okay, next item agenda. We are going to, well, let's invite him in.
All right,
Yes.
alrighty.
I'm gonna set the table a little bit on this because I want to make sure everybody understands the dynamic. Okay.
Please.
I don't think it's-
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
How's everything?
Good, thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you for having
Yes, and thank you for your patience. I know a couple items went a little longer than anticipated.
Ah, no problem at all.
Introduce ourselves or?
Please.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm Benjamin, this is Ellie Cohen, my dad. We're a Cohen family. We own some property on the Prospect Street, part of TOD and Nanuet. For many years, my father started the company. We were manufacturing there, like manufacturing. A few years ago, we vacated the building, moved our business to another location, opened up an office in New Jersey and manufacturing out of Pennsylvania. And since actually the last several years, we've been trying to work with a few developers to figure out the best course of action for those lots. They've been rezoned as TOD. And we've engaged Sterling Development, who has been working, we've had a few meetings with the town. And Nicholas here is leading the team to pave the way to see what we can do to develop the land and put some nice residential units there.
Yeah, Nicholas is with you with Sterling.
Sterling Group.
Yes, Sterling Properties, correct.
Is this where the old plastic factory used to be?
Yes.
Correct.
Across from Swift?
Yes.
About 7 acres there.
7 acres?
The
No,
biggest,
how many,
the biggest lot in the whole area. So if we're gonna start there, gonna be a snowball and 90 will look beautiful.
So perhaps before we get into the meeting, let me, if you don't mind, I'll give kind of a general overview of where we are, but I'm not going to go too much in detail.
You don't have any wells on the property, do you? Or Pfizer or Lilly's? No. The old Lilly's? That whole area has wells.
Oh, they do?
Maybe by week
Behind us.
behind us.
It's landlocked as well.
So,
A lot of paper, sorry, guys.
so what I don't know who's going to kind of lead the discussion on your side. Let me, and by the way, I'm Steve Corey. I need to talk to you.
We've spoken to Steve several times before.
Just as a point of kind of introducing the topic, this is a discussion item. We were approached by these gentlemen to talk about this potential development, which for those who are aware, it's over by the Nanuet train station, kind of bordered by the railroad track. Again, you all know that area. I've also been, been contacted by the town of Clarkstown supervisor and their team, as well as to make us aware of it. And I guess I'm going to kind of just give a very general overview that the town is looking at this nature of this development, this TOD-oriented development, is something they want. And there have been discussions on your part that I'll leave to you guys to discuss. Where we come in is that there's been discussion of them applying for typical IDA incentives, particularly a pilot. That would make the project, and again, I'll leave it to you guys to go on and going, as far as impacting the economics of the project with a pilot. Made them aware that our policy as it stands today doesn't allow for this project to go forward, that it's not eligible for our benefits based on our policy today, where we have done market rate housing, but we've limited it to economically depressed areas in general Suffern, Spring Valley, Village of Haverstraw. But they're going to be presenting, but I think the crux of the matter with the board is to consider, do we want to consider amending our policy to allow this type of development and broaden our ability to do this type of development, be it specific to TOD oriented policy, allowing for that, or expanding our market rate housing, beyond that. Again, that's the guts of what we'll talk about. But you gentlemen, I believe, are coming here with the idea of why, what you want to do and why it's in the the town public's interest for us to consider amending our policy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's nothing. I'll shut up at that.
no, that's 100%, the issues at hand.
You didn't have to come.
Yeah, exactly. A good meeting. So yeah, I guess with that being said, that's exactly why we're here. Here to give you gentlemen an overview of kind of what we've done to date. The project site, we'll get into the economics of the project. We brought some very specific underwriting. We also did an economic development study to talk about some of the financial benefits to the county and to the town of Clarkstown. So with all that said, I'll jump into it here. So we are specifically talking about the project location right here. We are directly next to the Nanuet train station, okay? And if you look at this map, this area is prime for redevelopment. It has all of the infrastructure that good planning and good zoning needs, right? You have transit, you have shopping, you have highway access. So you have everything kind of set out here, ready for you. The current condition of the property is, as you can see, no disrespect to the Corn family, it's ready for a new life. Okay, this property is drastically underutilized in its current form. There is, an old factory, a factory on the other parcel that was demolished. This is an excellent location for multifamily housing. I mean, if you look at the playbook for where to put density in townships, you're specifically targeting downtown locations next to transit. The developments that we build are luxury developments. They target, young couples, young singles that commute to the city. That's probably 60% of our audience. The other 40% of the audience is folks who are downsizing from large homes in the area. They don't want to deal with the maintenance anymore. They're ready to move into a beautiful apartment, pay their rent, call the super when something breaks, and call it a day. They don't want to deal with the upkeep, the snow, the landscaping, the roof, the repairs, all that type of stuff. So that's really, that's step one, okay? We have a great location for a multifamily development. The town has been excellent in creating the zoning for this project to actually take place, okay? So they've created TOD zoning, which is kind of like a redevelopment plan for this project to, have the entitlements to actually proceed. So this project is truly queued up from a planning and zoning perspective from the town. They have set the table for this project for a developer to go in, make application, proceed, and get this project actually built. Okay, so all the infrastructure is truly in place, and we're ready to do that. That's what we do for a living. We own and operate about 5,000 apartments throughout New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut. We have another 2,000 units that are in development at various stages. So this is our business. This is what we do. So as we were proceeding with laying out a site plan, as we're proceeding with putting together our architecture, etc., we really dial into the economics of the project. Okay, so we were able to put all this information into financial pro forma, and as we're kind of getting ready to go with our application, we said, okay, well, I guess now's the time to check in with the tax assessor and make sure the taxes are in line with what we're anticipating. At that point, we had the oh shoot moment, and I'm using nice words for everyone in the room. Come to find out that the property taxes for multifamily apartment units is close to $10,000 per unit, which is absurd and makes this project truly, it can't be built. Financially, it cannot be built. I brought some information here that shows you this is with all things staying the same, with ad valorem taxes in this town, it creates a 4.4% return on cost, which is a no-go, a big no-go for any bank, for any developer, for anyone to truly, the project truly cannot happen without financial assistance on this project. It's just, you won't get financing, which is truly a shame, because the path has been cleared here. It's not like we're starting from scratch with zoning and we have this grandiose plan. The town has realized that this site is absolutely perfect for what we want to do here, and we're ready to do it. But we truly cannot do it because of the tax rate in the town. It just makes the project economically, it's not viable. We cannot go to a bank and get financing. So that's the rub.
And how does, you said compared to your developments in New Jersey, you'd say a comparable development would be close to 3,500 to 5,000?
Yeah, that's correct. We do a lot of our work in New Jersey. If you do not have a pilot, depending on where you are in the state, your ad valorem taxes are somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,500 a unit to 5,000 a unit, depending on what town you're in. So finding out that the taxes are double that for this project was a shock. So we are here to see what we can do to push this project along, to make this project happen, but it quite simply needs a pilot. So what we've done here is, I've brought two pro formas with me. One that shows you what the project looks like economically without a pilot, which is the first 2 pages. The second 2 pages are the exact same data. It's going to be the exact same construction costs, all the same soft costs, same everything. But with a pilot, with a 35% pilot, this takes it from all other things staying the same. This takes it from a hard no to a green light in terms of being able to go forward and proceed with this project financially. And there's a whole lot of benefits that are coming with a project like this. I know. So to those key points, we had an economic benefit study done, which is this sheet right here. So currently the property generates roughly $130,000 per year annually in taxes. Even with a 35% pilot, that number goes up to approximately $1 million per year in revenue. You add those numbers up over the course of 30 years, you're talking a financial commitment of about 30-something million dollars, even with a pilot. It's $37 million. And assuming everything stayed the same and nothing got developed on this site, you're paying $130,000 a year in taxes. That adds up to about $4 million over the course, $5 million over the course of 30 years. So there's a delta here of a surplus of $32 million in tax revenue. And additionally, with a project like this, it's 252 apartments. Okay, that translates to about 540 bodies, human beings that are going to be occupying these apartments. On average, each person has about $5,000. Let's call it $5,000 roughly disposable income to spend locally, and that's an average of only $100 per week. So that's a pretty conservative estimate on what someone is going to be spending on local shops, gas stations, food, going to the mall, coffee, bagel shop owners. Everyone has some benefit here, but that's a total of, if you add about 500 residents times $5,000 per year, that's about $2.6 million of cash from residents being infused into local businesses, which is terrific. And then, you're talking about a major construction project coming to the community, which also generates a ton of local jobs. So that's really the crux of what we think the issues are here, what we think the benefits to the community could be. So we're here to have some positive dialogue with you gentlemen, to see what your thoughts are on this, and if there's a path forward to help get this project off the ground. So I hope everyone realizes that this is not a wish for a pilot. This is to make this pilot go. This is truly a mathematical requirement for this project to happen, and I'm saying that with all humility. So looking forward to your feedback based on what I've said.
And just to add one other element, my father had, when we were working in Nanuet, we had an employee who wasn't well, that's in cancer. We purchased a house for him a few blocks away so he can get to the facility easily. It's a 3-bedroom house on about a quarter acre, right around the corner from the current property. And we still own it and we still pay tax on it. And we're like, why is a 3-bedroom house on a quarter acre, which is about the same tax rate as a 1-bedroom apartment? So
That makes sense.
So that's where people who obviously the tax burden has to go somewhere, right? So even if we were selling the apartments or renting them, someone's got to pay that tax rate. And so that someone moved from a 3 or 4-bedroom house paying $10,000 or $11,000 a year in tax to an apartment where even if they're renting it, they're still responsible. That unit is responsible for $10,000 or $11,000 a month in tax.
So I want to add. No, finish, please go ahead. It's a closing statement, so keep going. So my first question is, why are you looking for 30 years? My second question is, the tax pilot program that you're looking for, are you going to give some benefits and rental discount to the renters? And the third question is, do you have enough parking to accommodate that?
Okay, all good questions. First question is discussing the length of the pilot here. Okay, the way that we are, because there is such a drastic difference in what the project needs from a tax perspective and what ad valorem taxes are, there's almost like a ticking time bomb at the end of the pilot, if you understand what I'm saying. So let's say we did a 10-year pilot. Okay, at the end, everything's going well for those 10 years, the project's able to perform financially, we're able to get built. All those good things are happening. But at year 11, you're going from, I don't know, call it $4,000 per unit to, at that point, probably higher than $10,000 per unit, assuming some percentage increase. Then all of a sudden you have this kind of devastating financial implication at the end of those 10 years. So the reason that we put 30 years on there is to give this project as much life as humanly possible until that pilot runs off, and then there's still a problem, but at least it's 30 years away. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the answer. That's the answer to your first question.
So don't go any further yet, please. So in 15 years, you've only gone up by $300,000. So after 15 years, you're only paying $300,000 more in taxes, which is a pretty substantial amount of time, right? I understand you need the money, so I'm not negative here. I'm just trying to understand the concept of 30 years.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because the difference to the town would be from the first year to the 15th year would be only 300,000 additional income a year.
Correct, yes. But I mean, look, I will be very, very transparent with you, gentlemen. We are here to, first and foremost, just step one, communicate the need for a pilot. Okay, if this project is going to get done, there is a need here for this.
We like changes, so that's good.
Okay.
Yep.
But we will, look, we can work with you guys on the terms here, you know, just in terms of keeping things simple to get some dialogue started. We said, okay, so we'll put it in 30 years at this makes sense. But yes, we're open to a shortly smaller term. We're open to some slightly different financial modeling here, for lack of a better term. So we're open to discussion as long as we can get to a point where we can get this project built. That's what we'd like to do.
Here's my, not to interrupt, everything you're saying shouldn't be directed at this board. No,
go ahead.
This has to do with the taxing municipalities, the pilot, et cetera, et cetera. All we do is say yea or nay. Other than that, it moves on to somebody else. So as far as the negotiation with the numbers, I mean, we can talk about it all you want. We have absolutely no input into that whatsoever. I don't know if you realize that.
Okay.
Yeah, this goes to, remember we talked about that. If let's just say, pretend the board said, yep, we changed our policy. Negotiate a pilot, if you can do it, it's good. Ultimately, the town and the school district will be the ones that will decide.
The process
that part,
starts here.
That's what starts.
It starts here.
We give you permission to go to the municipalities and negotiate the pilot. So I'm fine with the numbers, but you get my point? No,
Yes.
yeah.
Have you spoken to the town about this?
Yes.
And what
So
did
the
they
town
say?
said they have nothing to do with it, we have
No,
to start.
the town was definitely from the onset several years ago, really not entertaining it. As time has gone on and they really want to see the project, their last meeting we had with George, not thrilled about a pilot, but towards the end of the meeting, he said, let's talk. So I also think that George himself doesn't decide either. So there's definitely a lot of steps along the way, and coming here is step one.
Right.
Because we need everyone's support here to kind of take it through this pathway and get to that end goal.
We'll get you in the room.
In the spirit of being fully transparent, George called me up and said, by the way, I'm just gonna let you know, I threw you guys under the bus. That he said, and in the spirit of that, what he meant was, he said to them, we can discuss a pilot, but the IDA's policy doesn't allow for it, so why, you gotta get through the IDA before we can negotiate on the terms of a pilot.
And there are definitely a lot of people in the next different, there's a municipality, there's also the school district. There's a lot of different hurdles that need to go across the way. So we're just kind of just starting the ball rolling. That's basically.
So right now, go ahead.
Go ahead, no, please, you go, Tim. It's more important. Go.
So right now, we have no ability to approve this.
Right now, our policy does not allow for market rate housing outside the economically depressed areas.
Correct.
I'm not trying to influence the board what to do, but if the board was inclined to say, hey, we like this idea, you would have to amend our policy to allow, you could maybe be very specific what that amendment is. We can talk about that, to what could or would allow a policy that would allow this project to be considered for approval.
Because
So-
we do not entertain housing.
Other
do
than
in
Hamish
economic
Road,
sites.
Spring Valley. and
That's
stuff.
correct. That's correct.
I'll give you, again, I'll give you an example. We approved, it's the Sheldon, is a transit-oriented development project over in Suffolk. It's right on the railroad tracks. We were able to do that because Suffolk is designated by the census as an economically depressed area. Take the Sheldon, the exact same project, drop it in New City, it's not eligible. These folks are asking us to take the Sheldon and drop it in Nanuet, for
So I
something
guess
the other
that this is a bigger
If
conversation.
you look at it, looks like a depressed area to me.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, I mean,
You
truly,
whole take a, a ride over there, that's what it looks like.
piece of
And
property.
then that's how it's gonna look like after.
That's
I
correct.
mean, really, this is the fourth developer we team is 50-50 to do the whole thing, is a partnership. And everyone, when they came to the tax, drop us off. And they're ready to drop it off. So it's gonna stay like that depressed area for a long time.
So I have a.
So Evelyn was not, they were very strong, there's huge company, they have things all over United States.
You're talking about Avalon Gardens.
Yeah,
In any way.
the town did indicate that exact same thing to me. I guess
This
that's
kind of, if you guys don't help us, I mean, $2.5 million a year to pay on something, this developer, it's just insane.
No, please.
So what my son
Please
said,
understand, we're not looking to say no, but
I
we,
understand.
but we also have certain restrictions that are not allowing us to move forward because there are some bylaws that we have to follow. We have to change our bylaws to accommodate you. But now let me ask you a question. Come tomorrow morning, if there's another developer that comes and says, I want the same package, how do we say no?
So
Right? So there's more
there is a
schematics
limit.
here and not
we
just saying.
understand, so we have to come with a formula.
500-unit limit of development within the new TOD. So meaning if
And that's
you did
important.
change a bylaw, there could not you've been maxed out at 500 units.
just-
That's the township is only allowing up to 500 units to be built. So there would be a limit.
It doesn't make sense.
I
It
guess
doesn't-
I'm not sure how to, I understand the question, the reason you're asking the question, right? If you do this, then does the floodgate open for,
Exactly.
okay, I mean, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know the
gotta
answer.
do it.
I think it has to be
Yeah.
evaluated on a case-by-case basis. But I think what I'm showing you here is our true, real numbers of these, I mean, these are the facts, mathematical facts of what it is going to cost us to build this apartment project. And it's not going to, that's why the numbers without the pro forma and with the pro forma are the exact same thing, because none of those variables are going to change. It's truly what is driving the bus on this development right now in terms of its feasibility is the ability to receive a tax abatement. So I'm not sure.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Certainly.
Sorry to interrupt. One, I always love, somewhat tongue in cheek, when you get a statement like this and it talks about all of the tax savings, but it's missing the other side of the ledger. Like, what is it going to cost the town, the county, the municipal hamlet to have this building? So what's the other side of the ledger? That's one thing that would be nice to see. But again, your pilot is kind of outside of our purview. That's just a curiosity question. The next thing, based on your pro forma, you have an acquisition cost of $20 million. Well, you'll do it over at $5 million. Where does the 20 come from?
Well, that's the,
Again,
yes.
there's two sides to this. When you're building, your building costs, you have to build it that it's costing you $300 a square foot. Can you build something and charge the same rents for $200 a square foot? So again, there's all that we need to kind of.
I've spoken to several developers that have seen the tax rate and said, not interested for free.
For free.
So meaning, it's like, you find a nice house in Rockland County, beautiful mansion with $250,000 a month in tax. It doesn't matter what the price is. No one really wants to buy it. That's kind of what we felt. And of course, I know there's definitely, numbers we could discuss about, maybe offering a product that's a little bit lower end and not high end. But I think the area and the market wants a top quality product. And Sterling comes here with a, people want to, if they're downsizing, they don't want to go to like a basic, subpar apartment complex.
And we're hoping that you don't do that.
No,
we do
we're not,
want something nice, right?
Common sense, how is the property, we have three bedroom, paying 11,000 a year?
Wait a minute, there's gonna be 3-bedroom apartments?
No.
What he's saying,
he's
talking
talking
about the
his
house
house.
we own.
How many bedrooms are in these units?
A maximum of 2. We're also restricted on the
It's
size.
10,000.
I get it. So there will be children going to school.
There will be children in the school system, yes.
But
Yeah.
the part of the TOD concept was limiting the units.
That's correct. So
In order to facilitate having a lower
that's correct.
School impact.
Yes, we're
So
capped.
here we are, kind of lowering the impact of school-age children by not allowing 3-4 bedrooms.
That's correct.
Only
So we're
1 and
limited
2.
to 1,100. The maximum size of an apartment in this TOD zoning is 1,150 square feet. So if someone has children, they are going to be toddlers before, 1,150 square feet, you're gonna run out of room pretty quick. You're talking about kids. So there will be children in the school system as a result of this project, but it is not going to be it's not going to be overwhelming by any means. Just
to answer your question, half of the units are 2-bedroom.
So where do we go from here?
Good question.
Can I ask that question? Well, let me ask, I know, just so you're aware of it, I think, Howard asked a question, but I'm gonna ask the kind of same question. Let's say the board, and don't read into this, let's say the board just said, nope, we're not changing our policy. You can't, you're not getting a pilot from the IDA. What would happen to this project?
absolutely nothing.
And what would happen to the property?
They're gonna sit there in the press area.
And the taxes that are on that ledger as far as what is
Stay
back
the way
now
it
would be
is.
the income.
It's been like that for several
Like a
years.
truck stop.
So as far as the next steps, would be more of an internal discussion at this point to say, the board would have to decide, does it want to consider amending its policy, amending it with very strict guidelines, broad guidelines, all those factors. I'm going to jump ahead. Let's say the board decided that they wanted to do something that allowed this project to be eligible. Then there would be an application, there would be an inducement, and then quite frankly, we would say to them, now you got to go cut your deal with the town and the school district.
Yes.
And let us know if you're able to do that, and then we would paper a pilot if it was to come to pass.
Okay, so I need a little answer to better understand this. Question number 2 that I asked you.
Yes.
Is some of the savings gonna go to the rental people or lowering the rent for them?
We have a sprinkling of affordable units in the project just due to the zoning.
Okay.
But really just at the mark, in order for this project to make financials, we are not the nickel and dimey landlords that charge for everything that you could possibly think of under the sun. That's not how we operate our business. But the rents are going to be, we still have an unbelievable cost to develop this project with, forgetting the pilot for a second, the rents need to be at a certain point. We're going
Carry
to,
yourself.
yeah.
Now what about parking? Because you're so close to the train station.
Yes.
I can answer this. The township has allowed for 1.5 parking spaces per unit based on the new code, but the Sterling Development Group next team wants 2. Based on their background in development, they've seen that 2 is the more usable parking situation. So we're going above and beyond the code restriction on that.
The other beautiful thing is, as you know, as Ben was saying, that kind of triggered my mind is we have, you know, we've had several meetings with the town, and we were able to, some of this zoning was already in place before we came into the picture, okay? But working with the town over the course of a series of meetings with our professionals, our engineer, our architect, we've been able to create a plan that is variance-free, okay? So the zoning is in place. We can create a plan that is completely variance-free to bring to the planning board. So this thing, there is a true path forward here, where if things fell into place, this project could get built pretty quickly because we're not starting from scratch. So this is a real opportunity that we are prepared to run with. So, you know, I just wanted to add that since Ben was talking about, you know, our kind of conceptual layout and the parking and the amenities that we're going to have here. It's going to be a fantastic building.
So I guess we have to.
Could I ask you a question?
Go ahead, please.
You say you've been meeting with the town. Have you been meeting with the school district as well?
We have not met with the school district yet.
Okay, because they're an equally important factor.
Absolutely.
Well, they've been meeting with the town strictly from the planning, if I can jump in from the design and planning side, not from the tax side.
Yes, if we were to get the okay, that would be the immediate next conversation would be to sit down with town and order that.
Right. You're choosing not to really go deep on negotiating a pilot until you know you can get a
Go there, yes, but that would be the immediate next.
So I guess we need to.
Yeah,
We need to talk
and
about
I had,
our rules.
yeah, I think I was kind of, you know, that this presentation now will be chewed internally. You know, I don't think they were anticipating you guys.
Yeah, we have
you
to
know,
now.
I think they may be hoping you guys would change the policy on the spot, but there's a process for that too.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very much. Thank you for your time, but what is the basic timeline from
Something like that.
something that gets, you know, discussed today, another time?
2 or 3 years.
No.
We have another meeting probably at the end of March.
Okay, so just at the next, let's say at the next
And I'm
meeting.
sure
Again, I'll defer to the board, but I do know our next meeting is going to be March 23rd. And like I said, I will discuss them as far as, you know, how they want to handle. There's a variety of paths they can take as far as this, but we do, and I think the board does understand there's a time.
What we've done in the past with this, and maybe we'll do it with this one, is if the board thinks of any questions, we'll send them to Steve, and Steve can forward them on to you.
Terrific.
So they can be answered.
Great.
Does that work, Steve?
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Great, thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
We'll look forward to hearing from you.
What I would like to do, if my fellow board members will oblige me, basically it's almost 10:45. We've been here since 9.
Thank you very much.
Take your meeting and maybe pick up the balance of the items next, our next meeting.
Can I keep you for 5 minutes more?
Your 5 minutes, with all due respect, is a half hour. What do you got? What's that?
I want to talk about this small business thing very quick. This is very quick.
It's very quick.
It's,
I can be as
it's a big
quicker.
mouthful. Go ahead.
Well, it's up to you guys. You let me know.
I don't want to have a hostile.
Yeah.
But this will be 5 minutes. This will be quick. I'm not looking for, you know, and I need you to review the financial reports. So there's a couple of items.
It's really just to get the ball rolling.
Unless you really don't want to. All right,
3 minutes.
and let me just set the table very quickly.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
What are we doing
All right, very quickly, the board had indicated, we had talked, it could have been even closer to a year ago, about considering expanding our capabilities, given some big gaps in the community as far as services, economic development services. At the time, we had talked about doing a small business loan program or grants, and there were all kinds of hurdles. We dismissed this. However, we're at a place now, and we have the resources of both people and economically, that I want the board, and Heidi is going to give a presentation to talk about considering broadening our service to the community to provide additional service. And with that said, I'm going to stop talking so that Heidi, I
Yeah, and
ask
I'll
Heidi
go
to lead
through
the
this
charge on this.
real quick. I just have a few points to make, but thank you, Stephen. I know this is something that the board has discussed previously before I came on board, but really does seem like the natural progression of things, as I was just here a week or two before I said to Steve, so what do we do to support small business? So it really seems like something, we've all thought about, and makes sense because these are the businesses we're really interacting with on a daily basis. So kind of an exciting proposal to sort of explore how do we go about supporting small business. So Steve and I have been brainstorming. I've had the pleasure of meeting with Cheryl at the Rockland County Department of Economic Development and Tourism. Also Debbie Thomas over at Rockland Works and attending their round tables. And it seems overwhelmingly that in the county, there is a gap in support services for small businesses. It is something that's needed. I think we're doing a really good job at supporting workforce, like individuals looking to get into the workforce, but there is a gap in supporting small business. And so that's where we really would want to step in. And just to narrow that down a little bit of what that may look like as a jumping off point is we hear from small businesses that social media is really an obstacle for them. They're 24/7 running a business, and that social media piece, which really is a skill set to come up with a social media strategy, which does equal dollars in their pocket, kind of gets pushed off to taking a couple pictures and throwing it up on Instagram. And so we sort of explored what would it look like to maybe bring a program that helps small business establish a social media strategy. What would that look like? And there actually is a great agency in Nyack. And again, none of this is set in stone. We know this is a preliminary conversation. But this agency has worked with, and if you look at their logos that the companies they worked with, it's places we all frequent. They were actually, I contacted Tim, one of the partners there, and he was really excited about maybe putting together a program to work with small businesses to help them navigate social media. One of the other areas that we've identified that small businesses seem to be having issues with is there are federal and state programs to help small businesses, but I'm sure you're all shocked to know that those application processes are not easy to jump through all those hoops. And so we find a lot of small businesses just don't take advantage of these programs. So maybe we could step in and bringing in someone who has that expertise. And we also looked at other IDAs to see if they are doing something similar, and they are. So two that come to mind in the forefront are St. Lawrence IDA and Herkimer County, who both really have a robust presence with their small business in their community and are offering these types of classes either directly or in collaboration with other agencies in their county. So I guess just to keep it brief, what we're looking for today is really just the board's blessing to allocate the time and resources to flesh out this program and start the conversation on what this would look like to hopefully have something up and running in the fall. So I will, with that, keeping it brief, I'll open the conversation for discussion.
So I think, back to my, sorry for rushing in.
Yeah.
But this is a pretty huge step for us. And I think it's a step that's long overdue, and I think it's something we should really tackle. So this was a good introduction. I think we look at this between now and our next meeting and also think about, besides what you provided, other ideas that the board might want to consider as ways of helping and giving back to the community.
No, that's
Heidi, would you be able to send this information to us in soft copy?
Of course.
So we can shop.
Financials?
Yeah, if you'd like to review the financial report, it's pretty routine stuff, but I'll leave it to you to determine that, and I need a motion to review it, and any questions I'm happy to answer. Tim has reviewed it as well. And
Yeah, it's the normal bills. I don't see anything outstanding. And just to Heidi's point, it's well received. just let us process it, that's all.
Yes, no problem. I'm happy to have the conversation. That's, I think, what we're looking for here is.
We don't want the house to be rushing us here. Just one question, since the interest rate keeps going up, what is the interest rate we're getting today?
On the CDs, like infinitesimal. How's that?
Go ahead, go ahead.
We got a quote, so we've been talking to, and we've been talking to Orange Bank. Our the CD rates are going up. They just sent me last night, they said for our CDs, they can offer us for 1 year a 2.75% return, 2 years 2.5, 3 years 2.25.
So HSBC, just in the savings account, is offering 3.65%, anything over 150,000.
Right. And so the board has to consider, again, I always say this, we'll do whatever the board directs, but we have to default back to our investment policy. Are the funds accessible? Are they, are they safe? Are they accessible? Can we monitor where that money is being invested? And second, profitability is third. It's a descending order of priority. First and foremost is safety.
And when we say monitored, it has to be monitored by a third party, which means there'll be a fee.
Yeah.
How about the T-bill?
T-bills also.
T-bill, I did talk to the
That would have
auditor
to be
about that.
monitored by-
Right.
That involves a lot more monitoring. That takes a lot more of a dynamic because we could be liable if we don't monitor that and really manage it from a financial perspective. I hate to sound like, like it's not that we, it's not just because it's more work. It has to be monitored. The auditor was there are distinct.
There's a fiduciary responsibility by us. And the problem with it is that, God forbid anything happens, not that we're liable, but we have to be held accountable. So we have to hire a third party, independent, to oversee the money to make sure that it's invested properly. And the problem with all of this is that although the T-bills, the rates are high, and which is terrific, that drags down, obviously, what the rates are. Where the CDs, we put the money in, we take the money out,
Yeah, and the other thing, Raj,
It's a regular savings account.
Oh, the savings account, yeah.
So
If you leave it in a regular savings account, they're offering 3.65.
that's HSBC.
Correct.
Yeah.
The problem with those banks, before you were on the board, Tim, if you remember, we were looking to find some place to park our money, to invest our money, and we're so restricted because you give it to TD Bank, you give it to HSBC, theoretically, they'll take that money and do what they want with it.
Yeah, invest it.
And we can't
do that.
We can't do that.
We sat with
That's
the gentleman, was from Newburgh, from TD Bank. Remember, how many times did we sit with him?
Yep.
3 or 4 times. And at the end of it, he finally just said, nah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and it was all corporate. It wasn't him, like he was all in, but he said corporate just won't do it for you.
Because you can't be more than 250,000 FDIC.
No, had nothing to do with FDIC. It had to do with how the institutions invest their money and the fact that we would have control or a window to how they invest.
But in
their
a
money.
savings account, why would we have to monitor their investments? The money's in the bank, whether they give that money to somebody else at 7%, 8%, not our problem.
It is our problem.
That's where it gets a little.
That's where it got complicated, because we had our money in TD, and that was the issue. TD said, sorry, we're not changing our policies for little Rockland IDA.
Right.
Because
that
of the
kind of
state.
money?
Yeah, it was, we had over $1 million then.
Right.
That's when we started to develop, stockpile this money, and we were over in the other side of New City. And at the end of the process, which took a couple of months, he basically said, corporate TD will not change the policy to you. I went to a Merrill Lynch agent that I deal with, and I gave him all our documents. Not that I wanted him, but I was like, here, look at this. He came back and went, no, same thing. He said, it's too restricted.
The state's position is essentially, they're not worried about us making money on our
Right.
money. They want it safe because they consider that taxpayer money that should be eligible on demand.
Right.
So,
Well, if you want, we can look into this. We it's a
absolutely.
phone call.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guys give me that document so I can offer it to M&T or Wilmington Trust and see what they can offer?
Absolutely, sure.
go at it.
So we need to sit down with them. Okay.
So motion to approve the financials.
Go ahead, you better.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, Tim Riley?
Yes.
Raj Amar?
Yes.
And Howard Hellman?
Yes.
That leaves- We're going to table everything else.
No, we're gonna table it until the next meeting.
Table.
Could you please send us the soft copy when you get a chance?
Quick, they're gonna be real.
There will be.
Okay, you can actually start getting up and, all right. Meeting called to order at 9:09. You're gonna watch me do these minutes, so you believe. Admirals, Project Admirals Cove authorizing resolution considered. There was no discussion, there was a public hearing, no public comment. Motion by Tim Riley, seconded by Raj Amar, all in favor, motion passed. Avatar's, inducement resolution involved, their expansion of their capabilities. Avatar.
Is that today?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
All right, sarcasm duly noted. I'll put that at the end of it. Representative Aptar discussed the project, discussed what their capabilities are. Following discussion, motion by Tim, they went on, there was, Tim Riley wanted to know, asked a question. Are they going to be going forward regardless, or only explain that the incentives are subject to, the next phases are subject to these incentives, to the scale and size of the expansion. Asked if there was FDA approval, they indicated yes. Following any further discussion, motion by Tim Riley, seconded by Raj Amar, all in favor. Project inducement resolution considered for a company Natixis. They are a data center operation that would be going into the One Ramland Road facilities as tenant. Representative Natixis gave an overview of the company's operation, their various search for sites, why they were looking at Rockland versus other locations. Following discussion as far as particulars of the actual work being done, motion by Raj Amar, second by Tim Riley, all in favor. Spring Valley Marketplace Project. Executive Director gave a general overview of the project. Council Brian Quinn actually also pointed out a couple items as far as job creation and such, that the application needs to be revised slightly. Applicants provided an overview of their project, which involves the expansion of and renovation of the existing Spring Valley Marketplace to accommodate a combination of retail and office building. Chair Hellman asked, would the project go forward without benefits? And they answered that they would go forward, but again, not necessarily in the nature and that as described, and that the incentives were important. They indicated that the project would take anywhere, from a year to 18 months to complete. Matter was, the board discussed it and the matter has been tabled. There was no vote. The matter is tabled for further discussion at a later meeting. Board approved the Paris resolution for readopting, reapproving our policies and submission of various prior reports. Motion by Tim Riley, seconded by Raj Amar, all in favor. Representatives of a property, I'll give the specifics as who they were in my application, involving proposed transit-oriented development in Nanuet. Developers discussed the project, the financials, why the need for the board to consider amending its policy to allow for TOD-oriented projects outside economically depressed areas. Again, I can fill in more of that. It was left that the board will continue this discussion in the upcoming meetings. Board moved on to Heidi Van Diver, provided an overview of expanding the ID's capabilities to involve various small business services and educational services, asking the board and indicated board that we're looking for the board to consider approving that time and resources be allocated to fleshing out this proposed program. Board agreed to consider this at a later meeting and further discuss the matter. Financials were reviewed, subject to just reviewing the financials. Motion by Raj Amar, seconded by Tim Riley, to adopt the financials. All in favor. And the board agreed to, or indicated they'd like to table all of their matters on the agenda to a later meeting. That's it.
Very good. Motion to adjourn?
Yeah. Okay. Raj and Tim, you guys don't get to leave.
Oh, we're exhausted.
We got some signing to do.
I know, I just saw that.
That's right, smoke them if you got them, thank you.
All right, so that